Hey, what's up guys? Thought I'd come back today with another review. Many people have done a review on this knife, but I have not. And I've kind of alluded to it in other videos, so I figure, hey, why not go ahead and do a review? So what I have here today is the Zero Tolerance 0450. Excellent knife. I might as well just go ahead and say that right up front. I've kind of mentioned it before that this knife really does it for me. But I'm going to go ahead and get on into this, and I'm going to start off with the specs on this actually. We got a blade length of 3 1/4 inches. For those of you not inside of the United States, that's 8.3 centimeters. And we have a closed length, or a handle length, of 4.1 inches, or 10.4 centimeters. Sorry, I had to read that. I'm not really good at that conversion. So anyway, not a huge knife. It's I guess it's a mid-sized EDC knife. So the overall length on this, guys, is 7.4 inches or 18.8 centimeters. So there we go. There's the specs. I didn't mention the weight. Now, the Zero Tolerance lists the weight of this knife at 2.9 ounces. I have weighed it myself, and many other people have weighed it, and I came up with the same reading, and that was 3 ounces even. So I don't know if they've got some special type of scale at Zero Tolerance that's more accurate than mine, or anyone else's for that matter, but I measured 3 ounces even. But according to Zero Tolerance, 2.9 ounces or 82.2 grams. So let's get on into some pros and cons here. First off, the pros. The blade shape. I love this blade shape. That's a big pro. It's got that super, to me, it's just a super sexy look. It may be a little aggressive looking to some, but I think it's super sexy looking. It's a very useful blade shape. With the slight bit of belly here, nice, pretty fine point. If I can even, I don't know if I can show that or not. My lighting might not want to cooperate, but it's got a pretty fine point on it, and yeah, 3 1/4 inches. So it's a good overall EDC length, and the shape of it is just fantastic. I really like it. I like the style of the grind they did here, which we will get back into a little bit later on. Also, this handle. This handle is a big pro for me. It's just so nicely contoured. Everything is chamfered. You can see the edges around here. It's all nicely chamfered. Very comfortable in the hand. I don't get any hot spots or anything like that. It's just overall a very, very, very ergonomic knife for me. Now, everyone's hands are different. Maybe your hands are larger than mine. Maybe they're smaller than mine. What have you. I think if my hands were any larger, this probably would not feel as comfortable to me. But as it is right now, I can get one finger in this little kind of choil area, and I got 2 fingers in this next kind of section here, and then my pinky just kind of wraps around the back here. So overall, very comfortable in my hand. So another pro, just the overall build quality. Just everything about it. I mean, you got S35 VN steel, got 6AL 4V titanium handles, beautiful frame lock with a steel insert in there. You can kind of see the steel insert in there, which also works as an over travel stop, so you cannot push this knife beyond that, or push the lock beyond this point right here. It stops, which is excellent, because I have had knives that are prone to overextending, and then you have to take them apart and rebend the lock bar, and which isn't a horrible thing, but it's a thing. If I don't have to do it, I'd prefer not to. You got these nice anodized red standoffs, which I think just add a nice little pop of color to it. Otherwise, it's a pretty sterile looking blade. Not a whole lot going on, pretty sterile. Mine came with a fairly sterile clip. You can kind of make out the ZT logo in the right lighting, which is strange because most of these that I've seen come with a black ZT embossed on the clip. I did not modify this in any way. This is just the way mine came. But, you know, a pretty sterile looking blade. I mean, there's really nothing on it except for this side. You've got, you know, your normal stuff from Kai or KAI, 0450, KAI. See, it's a Dmitry Sinkovich design, made at S35VN, and made in the USA. And of course your serial number down there. But the overall build quality, sorry, I keep getting off topic. Yeah, the red anodized standoffs give it a nice pop of color, so it's not quite so sterile looking. You got these nice polished pivot screws and the pivot post over on this side, which mine look a little scratched up because I have been carrying this guy for almost a year, just right under a year. And I mean, it shows it's got some wear, but I'm fine with it. I actually do have some new screws, new pivot screws and body screws and everything that I purchased from Zero Tolerance. Now, they will send you new body screws if you ever need to, if you ever strip these out. However, they charge, I think, $5 for the pivots because they're a specialty item. So that is what it is. It's a thing, you know. Now the price on this guy is $160. Now when I got this thing a year ago, and even still, $160 for a titanium frame lock knife, not a bad price. That's a definite pro in my opinion, $160. I mean, usually they're all north of $200. You get this material, the S35VN, the titanium, the 6AL4V titanium, in a frame lock knife with bearings. This does run on KVT ball bearings, which are excellent, very smooth. You're normally going to pay north of $200, so for $160, I think this thing's a steal. And another pro, as I just kind of alluded to, is the action. The action on this guy is just smooth, man. Just super smooth. I love it. I can't really say too much more than that. It's super smooth. It's kind of a drop-free action. You got to give it a little bit of a shake there at the end because I have the pivot kind of tightened down. But yeah, absolutely excellent. So to recap the pros here, because I kind of went all over the place, you got the blade shape, which is excellent. S35VN steel, also very excellent for an EDC steel. The titanium handle, you got 6AL4V titanium, which I've said that too many times now. It's well contoured. You know, you got these nice red anodized standoffs, which add that pop of color. Awesome. Frame lock, and I didn't talk really about that, but there's your lockup. Mine actually came with a pretty early lockup, but after carrying this thing, it was probably about right there, if you can see that. And it's now that I've been carrying this guy for a year, I mean, it's worn in a little bit, but it hasn't really moved from this point right here. So hey, not too bad. Good lockup, good solid lockup too. No play in any direction whatsoever. Not even you can't even flex this blade to make it feel like there's play. It's awesome. And also, I didn't mention the clip really, but that's definitely a pro for me. It's a great clip. It's got just the right amount of springiness to it. It's pretty tight, but you got enough area to get the material of your pocket under, and enough area inside the main part of the clip here to house the material of your pocket without it being too tight and hard to draw out. It's not exactly a lowrider clip, but that's fine by me. It gives me a little something to grab onto to pull the knife out of the pocket. So anyway, goodness, I'm trying to recap the pros and I'm coming up with more of them. So anyway, that's all the pros, guys, in the action, of course, which is super smooth. Now I'm going to go into the cons, which are a couple, but they're not major to me. They might be to you. It just all depends on what you're looking for in an everyday carry knife. Now, the first con for me, and this is pretty subjective, but the centering on this thing is not perfect. Now, when I first got this, I could have swore it was a little bit better than this, but it's never been perfectly centered. I don't know if you can see that. It kind of favors the presentation side of the knife. Now, it's not rubbing. I don't know if I can even show you that. It's not rubbing on the scale at all. And I can't really tell. Maybe the scale's a little bit bent. I'm not sure. The titanium is a little bit thin. It's a pretty thin slabs of titanium. It's a very thin overall knife, which I probably should have mentioned in the pros as well. It carries very well. But the centering, not great. Another thing that's really not great is this blade, this grind. As much as I love the look of this grind, and I do love it, it came very thick behind the edge. They maybe could have made the knife a little bit thinner, the blade stock, or chose a different grind altogether. But it was definitely very thick behind the edge, and I have reprofiled it, kind of laid that edge back a bit to make it a slightly better slicer. But even still, it's not the best slicer. It does fine for what I use it for, which is usually cutting open packages and food prep, not so much food prep, but food packaging, cutting open food packaging and cutting open boxes and things like that, which this works great for. However, that edge did come needing a little bit of work, in my opinion. Maybe you like it the way it comes, I don't know. I can't speak to that, but it was pretty thick behind the edge. So not the best slicer in the world. That's the first con. Really, to me, that's the most major con, not the first con. That is the most major con to me on this knife. Other than that, and the centering though, it's been perfect. I mean, I have nothing else bad to say about this knife. So the pros definitely outweigh the cons, which is enough for me to carry a knife and enough for me to love this knife. So that's it, guys. That is the Zero Tolerance 0450. I appreciate you guys coming along, and I'll see you next time.